first of all, welcome to Being Asian in America. Okay, the tagline is "My Story, Your Inspiration." First of all, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out. Everybody sitting here, you were reached out personally, and you were given an invitation, whether it be through somebody from AREAA, or whether it's myself, or anybody from our board. So, you know, we did have a limited amount of seating, and so, you know, definitely feel good, feel privileged that you guys are here, and you guys get to participate, and we love to see this type of community represented. I want to acknowledge some people that make this happen tonight. Amy Kong, unfortunately, was not able to be here today, but she did sponsor the food, the sushi that you guys are partaking in. So, Realty Advanced World Group, thank you very much. Also, the staff of the mayor's office. We have Jason, we have Danielle, we have Francis. Thank you guys very much for kind of working with AREAA and putting this event together. There's probably, I don't know, Jason, 150 emails that went back and forth. But we got it done, we're here. Also, I wanted to kind of especially thank Mary Wall from Umpqua Bank also. It was through her that we were able, Mary, you want to raise your hand, Mary? It was through her that we were able to, Alan and I got to see this wonderful lobby and just kind of make all this happen. As soon as she heard the idea, she was just totally on board. But on that note, I also want to introduce you and thank, we have here Mr. Greg Sibley. Greg here is the executive, is the president of the Retail Consumer Group. And we're going to just kind of thank Greg, thank you for working with us and allowing us to have this event here, really as a community event. And from what I understand, it's a community bank as well. So Greg, you want to say a few words there? Okay.
Alan, thank you. I just want to say, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, I just want to say a few thanks. I first want to thank AREAA. Thank you for agreeing to be here. We're delighted to open our store to all of you for this great event featuring Mayor Ed Lee. And thank you for being here as well. Mary, thank you for putting this together. I know it takes some work. Mary, for those of you who don't know, and for those of you who may never have been in an Umpqua store, Mary runs this location for our company. This is a flagship store for Umpqua Bank. We put it into use in August of last year, so we've been here for about 10 months. For those of you who haven't been here before, after the event, feel free to stay around, browse a little bit. We think hopefully you'll like it as much as we do. And if you have any questions about what we do out of this store, feel free to chat with Mary a bit. I also want to introduce just a couple of other folks, because for those of you who don't know much about our company, 8 weeks and 4 days ago, we went through a merger. And our company merged with a company called Sterling Financial out of Spokane, Washington. And at that point in time, we doubled our size. We're a $22 billion bank headquartered in Portland, Oregon. We exist in 5 states, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, and California. We have about 100 locations in California, about 25 of which are in the Greater Bay Area. And so hopefully over time, we'll get a chance to know more about you, and you'll get a chance to know more about us. We've got some business leaders here tonight from our company. Shane Hiller, who runs our private bank here in San Francisco. Ron Strobel in the back of the room. Some of you can't see around the corners, but you'll have to trust me. He's over here against the window. He runs home lending for us out of Portland. Dan Scarelli runs the region for us in Northern California. Our new secret weapon, right here, Tang. Just onboarded with us recently, so we're delighted to have him. And I think I got everybody covered on the leadership team. This store, as I said, has been in place for about 10 months. For those of you who don't know much about this, we love to do events like this. I asked Mary just before we started, how many events do we do per week? And she said somewhere between 1 and 2. So if any of you would like to use this in the future for events for the community, we really want this to be a community living room, because our view is having a place to come together, having a place where a financial institution can represent kind of a spot where the community can coexist, can exchange ideas, can learn from one another, and can grow and flourish, is what Umpqua Bank is all about. really fostering growth in the community. So she will be your official booking agent. If you would like to use the space, feel free to talk to her afterwards. And then one last thing for the company. I think we're very proud of the culture we've created. I think it was well noted that in 2014, the company was recognized as one of the greatest places to work in the banking space in the greater Bay Area. So to all of the associates from Umpqua who make that possible, thank you for your contributions, for all of you from the community. Welcome, AREAA, thank you for being here. Mayor, thank you for being here. We're delighted to have you.
So before we get into our program, I wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of how this really just came about. I'm just going to take a minute or so to do that. You know, AREAA Foundation, which is actually led by Alan Okamoto, came up to our chapter with Carmen. We had a meeting and said, hey, you know, the 10-year anniversary video that we have, and some of you have seen it, and if you haven't, we can probably send you a link to that. He got a lot of feedback on that in terms of how inspirational that video was. And if you've seen it, it's truly an amazing video. So because of that, we wanted to, you know, Alan wanted to kind of create this speaker series where we do have a prominent Asian American in the community give their personal story. Because in that video, Alan himself gave his personal story on how he came to this, you know, to the States, and how his parents and how his folks came in, and being the first SFAR Asian president. Was that it? Yeah. So there's a lot of inspiration in that type of event and community event. So this is what we wanted to bring to our community as well. So we teamed up with our local chapter, the San Francisco Peninsula chapter, and we came up with this idea. And as soon as it was on the table, we just kind of just grabbed it and ran with it. We did approach, we were thinking about a lot of people, but what better person than all of you to hear and experience Mayor Ed Lee's story. It's a personal side of Mayor Ed Lee that you're gonna hear and see. So these are the types of events that we wanted to come together with as a community. Okay, so we're not here as to get membership. We're not here to create business. We're here as a community, as individuals, and as a group. Okay, so again, this was only, you know, it was by private invite only. So that's kind of the background and how all this came about. It's all about the story to inspire us and encourage us. We welcome all walks of life here. You could be young, you could be old, it doesn't matter who you are, okay, in all races. Everybody goes through trials and tribulations in their life. And it's those experiences that you might hear how others, how prominent individuals come out of that. And those could be certain events that are encouraging and inspiring. And this is the type of event that we wanted to hold. So hopefully that's what you take away from this tonight. I'm not going to waste more time. These two individuals that you see up here, you've probably seen a lot. Well, you know, Mayor is the mayor. Mr. Alan Okamoto wears a lot of hats in the community himself. Again, AREAA founding father, along with John Wong. John Wong, I saw you, John Wong, where are you? There you are, John Wong. But also AREAA's foundation chair as well. But again, like I said, he wears many hats in the community. And then, you know, Mayor Ed Lee, our very first speaker of this type of series. And this is actually going to be a legacy series for our chapter. And what we're going to do is mimic this throughout all other chapters nationwide. We do have a private videographer. It's not, in no way this is a public event. There's no media. This video, this series is only for us only. And we were going to mimic this type of event throughout the nation and all other chapters. So you guys, everybody that's here, you're participating in the very first speaker series. So welcome and thank you for being here. Okay. So again, this is going to be, you know, giving you a chance to kind of have an up and close and personal view of our prominent guest today, as an Asian in America. So again, our tagline, our series is called Being Asian in America, My Story and Your Inspiration. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Alan Okamoto.
Thank you very much, Alan. You did a wonderful job. You took up all of our time, so all I can say is, well, tonight we have the honor of having, as our first guest speaker, Being Asian in America series, Mayor Edwin M. Lee. Tonight, he is not going to be the mayor. He's going to be Ed Lee, community friend. He was the first Asian mayor of a major American city in the United States. But like I said tonight, he's just going to be Ed. He's going to tell his own personal story. So I'd just like to thank you very much for coming this evening.
Thank you, Alan. Alan and Alan, thank you very much. Greg, thank you for this wonderful use of the space and the bank itself. I start out by saying I'm very glad to do this. I know Alan gave me full warning about the speaker series, but I do want to talk a little bit about my background and just in very plain language, who I am, where I came from, what my thoughts are, with the hope that perhaps others take up the challenge of public office or understand the complexities of running for public office. And this great city of San Francisco has offered me a fantastic opportunity to show what I can do, but also to challenge me in both personal ways and in professional ways that I've never been challenged before. And I'll get into some of those details, but I'm glad to do this for AREAA, for the work that you do. And I know that you're all about just trying to tell real stories about what it is to be an American, and what opportunities, but also how lucky we are to be in the greatest democracy in the world. I often say that no matter what happens, and these moments come in a very limited way, we are still part of the greatest country in the world, and these opportunities don't come easy. And a lot of people before us sacrificed a lot for us to be able to do what we're doing. And I want to just say and appreciate of them. I'm glad to open up a little bit of who I am to do so.
Thank you very much. We all know that you're the mayor. But can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you came from, about your younger years? Did you have a normal American childhood, or did being Asian affect you positively or negatively?
Well, let me say I'm one of 6 kids. My mother and father were both from China, so I'm second generation. They came over at a young age, and my father ended up being a cook, although he served in the U.S. Army, so he got his citizenship. And my mother was a seamstress, and they're, of course, very squarely in working class America in Seattle. I grew up in Beacon Hill, and I had a chance to go back there recently. I'll talk a little bit about that later. But grew up in a large family, so I immediately knew what the sharing economy was all about. Something that I've talked about a lot, because we had to share a lot of things. You know, being part of a large Asian family it's actually quite typical. And my father wanted everybody to work hard, and he certainly demonstrated that with the hours he put in, both running a restaurant that he ultimately lost as part of his own economic challenge, and then became a cook for somebody else. And but when he did own the restaurant, my tender age of being in middle school, I was the chief dish and bottle washer. So I was glad to do it, because I thought at that time that was the way we honored our hardworking mothers and fathers, by sacrificing a little bit of my time in washing the dishes. So I would come at about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon after middle school and see these dishes piled up taller than I was that were left over from breakfast. And yet I took pride in saying, I'm going to finish these dishes before I have my first hamburger that I got the privilege of cooking myself on the grill. So we did that and just contributed to the overall family life. I thought I was pretty normal because a lot of other families in Beacon Hill, Seattle, Washington were all part of this as well. Our society was, and in particular in high school, 30% Asian, 30% African-American, 30% white in the high school itself. Later on in many years did I realize that I was part of a high school that graduated Kenny G, Gary Locke, the ambassador, and of course, Jimi Hendrix. So I come from a very famous high school called Franklin High School,
the land of the Quakers. So that was our alma mater. I did a lot of things that were pretty common in those years. I played basketball for a lot of the different leagues. I actually tried out for the Franklin High School basketball team and realized in my sophomore year that I wasn't tall enough. But I prided myself in working past the tallest players by speed and cunning. And so who else would you know, if you were coming from the land of Bruce Lee, you're going to have speed and cunning. But I also played tennis. I ended up being on the tennis team for high school, and that's something that you did individually. So you were responsible for yourself, and didn't matter if you were small or big. Speed and eye contact, and that got me a lot of rewards in high school. I studied a lot because I was a serious student. I knew from the start that the way to get out of the public housing, which we started in before we got our first home, was going to be advancements in education. We learned that very quickly. And our motivation was, we're going to get the heck out of public housing. Everybody in the family was dedicated to that. And we had wonderful childhoods, by the way, but we always were motivated by that we weren't going to be in the lower rung of economics for ourselves. So we motivated well, strongly, and I was lucky to have a lot of people that were always praising success in education. And I was very lucky too, because I was about to go probably into some of these large universities, as many of my friends did, and I had a very good history teacher, never forget him, who convinced me that I would be happier, and this was after my father died, so we became very close friends. My father passed away as I was a junior in high school, made the economics of the family extremely more challenging, and ended up thinking to myself, I had to support the family in every way I could. So I was the designated driver to get my mom to her garment shop and learn from her what it was every single day for her to kind of support 6 kids in the young ages as we were, and understood the additional challenges that she went through. So that experience for me was mind-boggling. I was very nervous when I was invited to go to college away. Well, that story in of itself, high school teacher said I would not be happy if I was in a 30,000 college, university, that I would lose myself, that these classes would be so big. And I was listening very carefully, because I was saying, well, how could a kid from Franklin